So we're making these sweet little crows. The primitive crow pattern I have for you, you'll be able to find it on the blog. And here is the page. You'll find the link in the description box down below for this pattern sheet. And you can cut these out a little bit larger using your freezer paper like I did. This way you can do a light pressing of your iron on the fabric, and then when you cut it out, you'll have your reusable pattern. I've made two, and I chose to machine sew these. However, you can hand sew these really quick. I'm going to turn them out and make them fat, fluff up my black crow bird. If you're looking for your pattern, make sure to click on the link and go over there and print it off. When you draw it, just draw it a little bit bigger on your freezer paper, such as I did. That way you can make your crows as large or as small as you like. Now I have my little pressing iron going here. I have my black fabric and my bird. And I just lay it on the fabric and get it. I've cut me off a half a yard, so I'm going to make several. I just get it centered on there to where it's good. And it just takes a second. That heat just automatically puts that freezer paper onto that fabric. And then when I cut it out, I pull this off to sew it, and then I just do me some more. Here's a charming idea for eyes on your crow if you don't wish to sew them. These are the little mini confetti plastic candies that look like the peppermint candies for Christmas. And this is my black metallic paint. I've also done some in the antique copper metallic paints. These work great, the acrylics, and as you can see how tiny they are, and they make a beautiful color. So I'm going to make up some so I have them in advance. This way you can just glue them into place with a little bit of tacky glue onto your crow. Now that we have our crows made, we've got them stuffed, and if you chose to leave the bottom open and close it up and you did white thread, no worries, because the stain, basically when I put the glue on here with the cinnamon, all of that will get colored up. Also, the ones that I had left open here, I went ahead and closed that up, and it made stuffing these a lot easier. So, based on the pattern, I would still recommend using the pattern and leaving this area open. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to use a seam ripper to open that up slightly because the stick is going to go inside. And I need to glue that on the inside. The reason why I went ahead and stitched this up is, one, you can use these just like this without a stick. And I wanted to go ahead and have that fastened. And number two, the reason why I'm going to open these up and put the stick in is because it'll be like a pick, and that way it can dry quicker. The next thing we're going to do is create a solution that will put our effects of our cinnamon stay on here. It'll also stiffen up the fabric, so you could use your coffee grunge, your tea stain, but you'll be adding glue to it. So that way it's going to make this surface stiffer. And then the eyes, of course, you can stitch those, or you can select something, a bead, one of the seed beads. The balance of your bird, if you do your crow this way, your stick is going to really truly be right in this area. And you only need that seam open enough to place your stick. I would recommend going outside and cutting you some branches just as I have. These are my actual eucalyptus branches, and depending on how long you want them to be, I would make them any length that you want depending on height. But most picks for flowers and stuff, you need at least 12 inches, and this is a lot longer, but it'll give you that extra, and you can trim it down as you like. When you make your opening on your crow, only make that opening large enough for a stick to go through. That way, if you go ahead and close it up at least to that point, it'll make it easy to place glue onto your branch and place it inside of your crow. You can also use a dowel, any kind of stick, maybe a leftover floral, and you can wrap it or make it different colors. You suit it to what you like. As I was saying, these that have white thread that I closed up the tail, I'm not concerned about that. I may stick these into a bucket, a container, or tie them on to another item that I've made and display them, or use them as bowl fillers. There's different ways, but on this particular one, I think that I'm going to go ahead and pierce him whole and make his opening so that I can put a small branch in there. Big. Even if you cut the fabric, it's okay, because you'll be closing that up. So don't sweat it. Don't overthink this. Okay, so I basically have got my water, and I have put my tea in there, my strong dyeing tea. Now, basically what you're going to do is you can use any Elmer's glue or Mod Podge. The idea is 10 parts water to 1 part glue. I would recommend that you use a chippy brush and apply it to your bird. And of course, you're going to need your cinnamon. Mine are stuffed pretty good with the polyfill. I just sat down and went to working on my birds and got these beautiful crows all fixed up. And as you can see, it happens pretty fast. Now down here, this might give you a little bit of a fuss whenever you go to glue your fabric closed, but I promise by the time you put all of everything to it, glue, stain that we're going to do on these, it all takes care of itself, and that makes it easier for that pick to sit up while it's going through its drying process, which doesn't take long depending on how bad you saturate them. If you are very concerned about the glue on the fabric, there's two ways. You can use the tip of your glue gun and heat it up, and that will kind of smooth it off. I use this all the time so that you don't have that touched look there. And you can always take a black magic marker to that, but a lot of times you don't even notice it at all. Okay, so that's one down. I have 11 to go. The crows look fantastic with their sticks in place. I have all of these completed, and your sticks can be any length or color. It is a matter of making it look old-fashioned, rustic, primitive crows. These crows, when I finish them, will be available on my website at dandelionsoap.com/primitive, and you will see all kinds of items there. I'll put the link in the description box down below. You can click on it and it'll take you right over there. So to move along, I have me a platter here, and this makes it more simplified at putting the cinnamon onto my crows. Now I pretty much, just swipe my chippy brush across here. It has just a little bit of glue in there. You do not have to saturate your bird at all. Just get your mixture across there. That dampness is plenty enough. And then that way they don't take forever to dry too. So you don't have to coat the whole thing. We're not painting it. We're just sprinkling our cinnamon on there and letting it do its thing. We'll give it a moment. I do tap it off just a bit, and you can touch it into the powder. This won't all stay on there, so just have you a tray, and my little shaker there is really, really good. But this also gives you a place to kind of pick up some of that cinnamon, and you can, of course, rub your bird, and that makes it even better. See how it starts to get that look? And as I said, you'll dust these off too, and just work these in that manner. That little bit of glue that's in that mixture will be enough to help this stay for many years and give it that great look. So I'll just go through there and tap my chippy brush into my mixture, go along there, just get it a little damp. It don't have to be soaked. I want them to dry because I need to finish decorating them, and I don't need these taking up a long period of time. You can always hasten the speeding of the drying with your hot gun and just let it go. This just really makes them awesome. Of course, they smell incredible. This is so good to work with. I love it. It's just a quick, easy way to do this, and it's less mess too. Very stress-free, fun thing to do. And these aren't highly wet at all. It also takes and dulls down your fabric so it gets that old-fashioned, old-timey worn look, as though you picked this up in an old store or shop somewhere long ago and really ages it up well. So I'm going to do the rest of my crows and let them dry. Now I wanted to show you this one because of the threads are white down here. And as you can see, it does not take nothing to get this brushed on real quick. But once you hit this with the cinnamon, you're no longer going to even worry about those threads. And even if you do, trust me, it is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Coming from that world of using what you have to make beautiful things. And by the time you put your cinnamon on there, as you can see, it's going to color up those threads. And I like the white thread. I do it on purpose. I actually use white thread on purpose because I wanted it to look homemade. I didn't want it to look brand new and just spiffy, and that's why I put the threads on the outside and selected white so that it would really show up. And I love working with the cinnamon and rubbing it in and working it into the birds or anything that I do primitive. So as you can see, you wouldn't even know it. Just barely even there. And by the time that dries and it's dusted, it's going to be even better. Now all the crows have dried, and you see the cinnamon that's still on there. So we need to dust that off before we move on to decorating them. They look beautiful. So in your mixture, you may find that just rubbing it with your hand and nails will get off the amount that you want off. The main thing with rubbing the crows is to just shed the grittiness so that, you know, you don't feel that grit when you touch them. You want them to feel like fabric. And the glue mixture really truly just tones it down, and it helps that cinnamon to adhere and stay put on the fabric. So you really do have to work at it. Now, like this one right here, where I really truly put the cinnamon on it, and maybe I just want to keep it looking like this. You don't want to work as hard. You want to kind of, you know, look at them and see if you can leave some, or if you really want that off of there. So the more you scratch about it, the more you're going to pull off of it. Your taste and what you like. How much primitiveness do you want to them? And like that right there where the threads broke through, these are times when you can see what needs to be fixed or adjusted. You can see how gorgeous they look. And they're just looking really, really great. Like that one right there, I could scrub on it more if I wanted to, or I can lay, and they're all going to just have this beautiful, gorgeous, primitive look to them. Now we get to do the fun stuff, and that's decorate our crows. So I have a few things here. I have my coffee stain tags. You'll find the coffee stain recipe in the description box down below. My rusty bells, and I have my homespun already dyed and ready. It's set to go. I have the acrylic block from Dollar Tree, and I bought my letters, this particular stamp letters, from Temu. And then when you get this, I went ahead and I pulled this because I wanted to show you that if you get this acrylic block, if you're having issues with your stamps not adhering, you have to take this protective plastic off of it, and it literally just rolls off. And now, if you can see through it very clearly like that, you have removed this film. If your stamps are not adhering to it, it's because you haven't removed this protective film. Just a FYI. And of course, my stamps. So let's get with it. We have our glue gun ready, and I'm going to put crow on these tags before I wrinkle them up and give them that old-fashioned look. These particular letters are in uppercase and lowercase. You have numbers and your most common words, you would say. D, R, for, and, to, is, and that. This is a really neat set, so this is my first time giving them a try. When you purchase these stamps, you always want to keep your acetate because once you cleanse these, they can button back to your sheet and you can keep them dust free and covered. So it's important to keep that acrylic sheet so that they stay this clean and nice, and you can clean them up real easy. And then you have this grid line. This grid line helps you to set your letters in the appropriate place, just like when you were in school and you had to write your letters. And so you can just find your space and line them up, either on the line, between the lines, whichever works for you. And I believe I'm going to go uppercase and lowercase with these. And then the great thing about these letters is you can adjust them as you need to. You don't even have to worry about are they lined up, because you'll be able to see your word right through the acrylic. And that's the whole reason why this grid line works. You can use your rulers, acrylic rulers, that this acrylic glass is made just for stamping and it's the right size. And so now you have your words affixed there. And that makes stamping them real easy. This stamp pad is the Ziegel. I got this because of the metal case, but when I received it, I noted it has this plastic area around here, so it doesn't fasten shut. But, you know, that's just a FYI. It is brown, and of course I can easily lay my stamp on there and pick up my ink and get that on my letters, so that when I press down on my stamp, I've got them covered. Just look and see that they're covered real good. And some of you ladies may have worked in an office and you know the drill. And I will just test this out. That way I'll know. That showed up pretty good on craft paper. And the coffee stain is close to it. So I'm going to go with this. So one way that you can do it is I'm going to put my letters closer together. And if you put them out to the edge of your stamp like this, you can get it closer as far as getting that on the pad and just making sure that you're getting ink on those letters. If you get it on the acrylic, they're not going to come in contact with your paper unless you're really pressing hard. There's enough space risen up that when you go to press them down, it's an easy press. And just the closer together you can get those, and then that way you can arrange them or space them out or turn a letter upside down, whichever you like. I really, really like this box lettering. I like my small ones too, but this is going to work out really well. Now I have tea dyed my cheesecloth where I coffee stained my tags. But on your cheesecloth, if you leave it folded when you dry it, you'll get a long strip when you cut it. And that's the way I do it. I also buy rolls of gauze and I will dye those. And I keep my pack that I buy it in. I buy this at Walmart. You can get it at any of your Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any of those stores. And of course you can order it online. And I always buy a pack that I can tea dye or coffee stain. And then I buy another pack for any of my food. And I'm just going to cut some wide strips off of this. Tearing it really isn't necessary because, well, you're going to get a real nice piece. And I'm just going to do a few to see how I like that, if it's going to suit me on the crow, which I'm sure it will. And then that way you'll get the idea and you may decide you want some on your crow as well. So get your tweezers if you're going to put eyes on it this tiny as I am, because they are going to come in handy. And really and truly, you're just going to aim, put your glue on, and get your eye on. And these I had did like an antique, metallic antique copper. And they are just gorgeous. I really, really like them. Most of the time, people use black on the crow, and you can do that too. Kind of looks like the theme of mine is headed in the copper direction. Once again, just a dab of glue is all it takes. Sit that right down on there, and it takes hold on that fabric with no problem. So I want to introduce you to a new tool. This is the Tim Holtz. It is a paper distresser, and it's really neat because you can hand hold it and you can truly get this distressed look on your tags and so forth. It has a blade in it and it kind of scours and cuts on the side. And then you can just take and crinkle them up into a ball. to really truly get that old-fashioned look and wrinkle in your tag. Then if you want to use your ink stamp to distress it, you can do that. I'll put a link to this in the description box. And it's real easy to use. You can hold it about any way. And you'll notice that you have this blade in there. Basically, you just hold to it. And you can scour back and forth. Like that. And you can see it kind of distresses it and raises it up. And you can also just go one way with it. You can just take and just slide one direction, and that works good too. So either way you want to do it, you can go back and forth, or you can just pull on it and it will distress it. And as you can see, it has this risen ridge, and it does like this natural little roll up, and it really just gives it the aged look. So that's another tool that I have been using, and I really enjoy it. And just wad up your tag, and that way when you pull it back open, it gives you that wrinkled, worn look. Now remember, you can also use manila folder to get that same distressed look going on with your tags, or you can just buy these manila tags and go ahead and stain them up the color that you like that already have the tie in them. And I love this. This makes it really handy for me. So these are already distressed with this Tim Holtz paper distresser. And now I can just unravel them, and now I have me a whole set ready for my crows. I purchased these blender brushes. They come in a pack of 10, and they're all different sizes. And these are really, really cool about distressing ink or paint or stains, either way. And I'll put a link to these. I got these off of Amazon, and they are in different sizes. Kind of remind you of a makeup brush. They have a real tight stack to them. They are just super, super nice. And the blender brush do really good at smudging things as well. To exemplify how well they work, I've got my distressing ink, and normally we just kind of rub that ink on there. But what you can do with these blender brushes is you can go ahead and get the ink onto the brush. You can see it there. And you can just start brushing about. And as you can see, you get this really nice staining going on. It's just another way of kind of doing some distressing. Really, really neat. You can slide it down the side so it just catches on the ridges. Get it even more dingy. It is just a really neat thing, these blender brushes. So try them out. I think you'll like them. Get that hue going just right. It just hits in all the right spots. Just gives it a really, truly good, worn look without over inking at all. Here's one that we just did and one that hasn't been done. They both look really good. So you could do it either way, you know, with and without. It's really, really neat. I have really, really liked them. And of course, you can use your different inks, and you can use that same blender brush because, well, once you've used the ink on it, it dries pretty fast, and you don't have the oiliness still sitting around. So it's really been a great little tool having the blender brushes, and they just truly make it look genuinely worn, just in a whole other light. I've really been pleased with them, and just edging and blending with them. They've really paid off, and they don't cost hardly anything. They are so reasonable, less than $1 a brush. There you go. Here's with and here's without. My favorite part is decorating the crows. A lot of people do not make the crows because they do take a lot of time, but your craftsmanship shows up in all your work. So I do put forth that effort. But if you decide you would rather purchase the crows than to make them yourself, do check out the website. I'll put the link in the description box down below, and you may see it here on the screen. I do enjoy making them, and they do take a little bit of time, tender love and care and concern, but they're well worth it. So I'm going to try some of this homespun mustard color I really like this. I'm going to put some cheesecloth with it. And these are fairly long, so I'm probably going to cut it down a bit. And you don't have to put them at the same length. You make one shorter than the other or one longer than the other. Doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter whether you're putting them one on top and one on the bottom. Usually by the time you wrap it around the neck and tie it, they're going to come out to about a perfect size. And you can tie them under the neck or back here at the back of the neck. Just cross these over and tie them. Now, a single tie is generally equivalent to what you need. It doesn't need to be real tight or snug. And I am a waste not, want not. I just can't see, and pulling off a bunch of this and then just snipping that just so it to be thrown in the trash. So I kind of just do them together. If they look too bunchy like that right there, I will untie it, and I'll do one tie at a time. That way they're less bunchy. But I just cut off a little bit, because most time that gets cut. And see what I've got there. If I don't have enough for it, then I just cut another piece and just go with it, because the strips do get used. And see, sometimes just doing them singular like that gives them an even better look. You can kind of roll them up a little bit, so that looks real nice right there. And generally when you tie these, you will put your bell on here, or you'll hang a star, or you might draw a star and glue it here. It really depends on personal preference. And just work it and tweak it until you get it just like you want it. And that's looking pretty snazzy right there. I like that pretty good. And you can always take and tatter these more. You can make this more narrow. You just fix it till you get it content where you like it. And I'm going to put him a little bell on here. And these are the bigger rusty bells, and they look real good. I also have these small ones, so I can see. And these have really rusted up good. These I got from Dollar Tree, and I used my salt and vinegar. You can use peroxide with them, but make sure you get them good and soaked, and then expose them to sunlight or air, and that's really what gives them the rust. Those are genuinely rusted. Not just appearance, but are rusted. So I'm going to pick right here on the knot for that bell and just hold him in place for just a moment. And that also takes care of that knot too. You can style it and get it to stay exactly where you want. You can also put some glue underneath, but I prefer not to. I like to keep that fabric loose, just like that. And he looks pretty classy, and you don't have to put the cheesecloth. So we've got him situated. Now let's give him his tag, and he will be done. Now I'll leave the tails on these tags just like I bought them, with a string on them, because if I don't pin it with a safety pin, I can at least tie the tails to the length that I want. And it's all about appearances. It's all about appearances. So we want to put that crow tag on there, and we can dangle it low. We can trim this tag, which much better. Then you might have strings where you got the cheesecloth on there. And I still think that I want that homespun be a little more shorter. Get that to hang just the way I want it. Now, so how's that looking to you? I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to do the next one. So this next one, I'm going to use the burgundy and cream homespun, and it's a little more narrow, so we'll see how it looks. And once again, I'm just tying those one at a time. I really like the way that looks. Looks good with the longer tail. And then if someone were to purchase this, they can always cut that shorter if they like. And then I have my crow tag. I'm going to leave it long as well. I did cut it down, the string on it, but I'm going to keep it the big size and see how it looks. I want that tag to hang just right there. And I like the way that looks and it doesn't even have a bell on it. And I really like the way it looks. I'm going to use one of the rusty bells with this one. I'm going to put it on the bell. Make sure I hit that. I think I like that big bell on there. It looks real good. Make sure it's good and cooled. That looks even better. I really, really like this one. So I might just leave them a little bit longer. Like I said, they can always cut this down. So if you enjoyed DIY on the Primitive Crow, be sure to give it a like. Share it with someone who enjoys primitives and doing old-fashioned little picks and things that you can place about anywhere. If you do enjoy doing DIYs, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing more, and check out this video where we have done some more primitive handmade. Check out the playlist. Be sure to join us over on Facebook. There's a lot posted there for your entertainment, and you can move right along and watch several of the videos and be notified of the postings as they come available. So until the next DIY, this is Elizabeth, and I'll be crafting y'all.